the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, good. Welcome to our school board meeting. I know that many of you are here tonight with the interest in the agenda item dealing with the board discussion on the referendum petition request. This is a board discussion and not a debate. The board will allow comments from the public for up to, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 people. For no more than 2 minutes. If you could keep it at 2 minutes, I'd appreciate it. And that will be prior to the discussion. That'll be after we come back from executive session. We ask those in attendance to be respectful of the board's rules of conduct, follow the rules of decorum, and all be respectful of others. This includes any disruptive, rude, or threatening behaviors. Any person who fails to comply with these rules will be asked to leave. Before the regular meeting begins, there will be a brief executive session to meet with the school board's attorney. The board will move to another room for this meeting and return here after a very short meeting. The board will conduct part of its regular meeting before addressing the referendum petition request. The board will adjourn following the completion of the agenda. We thank you all in advance for your cooperation. So at this time, I think I need a motion to go into executive session. Jeannie Franklin, seconded by Teresa Howard. All those in favor? All those opposed? Are there any abstentions? Seeing none, we are in executive session.
We're going to go to the library.
We'll be right back.
When they start coming back in. You don't want it.
Okay. Thank you. Matt, you do a good job. Come a long way since that quiet little boy in the classroom. I'm looking for approval of the minutes of 3/21/19. Richard, seconded by Jen Poirier. All those in favor? All those opposed? Are there any abstentions? Seeing none, they are so entered. Communication.
I have one letter. I received an accepted letter of resignation from Sean McPhee. He's a social studies teacher at the high school. He'll be returning this fall. That's all I have.
Is there any school personnel who wish to speak tonight? Now comes the part where if we have 6 or 7 people that would like to speak, now's the time to do it. If I'm going to ask if you're here to speak about something other than the Indian name, we'll do that after, okay? So is there anybody that wishes to speak tonight? I don't have a list. I see some hands. Just come on up and stand in line. I don't know your names. Could you please tell us who you are and such?
Yeah, my name is Jessica Keene. I live here in Skowhegan. I have a son that attends the middle school, 2 other daughters. My son actually has native blood, so does my youngest daughter. And my notes are in here, just give me 2 seconds. So my 6-year-old, when all this started, I bought us the sweaters and a shirt, and she asked what was going on. So I told her, you know, we're called the Skowhegan Indians, but some people want to take that name away. She asked me why. I said, why do you think somebody would want to do that? Why do you think? She said, because they don't like Indians. So that, you know, to me personally, I don't see how they don't feel honored. I mean, I got a 1.5-year-old. When she gets older, if this passes, and she asks me, Mom, you know, I found out why we're the Indians, why aren't we anymore? What am I supposed to tell her? You know, am I going to ask her, what do you think? Are we not good enough for them? Is that why they took a name away? We're all, you see what it's done to the community. We have all come together because we believe 100% we are the Skowhegan Indians. We are proud of that name. There is nothing whatsoever that has race to do with it. People who don't even know each other, don't know who your friends are, doesn't matter where you work, you know, if you even work, we're here for one reason. You know, the SIP group has actually been referred to or compared to the KKK. You know, we have been called white supremacists, which is 100% not true. We're just here fighting for a name. But it's not just a name to us. It is our town. It is in our blood. You know, we went to the schools, we played the sports, graduated so proud to be a Skowhegan Indian. You know, we got everywhere. There's Skowhegan Indian, you know, the Indian statue right on it. That was dedicated to the Abenaki people. Years ago, for the log days, there was actually a tribe that came to town and they would have a powwow for the log days. I don't see why we can't come to a compromise. You know, keep the Indian name, bring some more Native American culture. They were our first people. And that is exactly why we're the Indians. Because they were the first people, and people need to know that. Past, present, future, they need to know. You know, the Indians were here first, and everything got screwed up, pardon French. That's why we're the Indians. So everybody can know. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Use the microphone.
One right here.
Behind them.
There's one right here.
My name is Jim Richard. I'm originally from Skowhegan. I was born here. And I like to talk about something a little bit different. I like to talk about my rights. Where do we get our rights? Who gives us our rights? We get our rights from our Creator. We're born with them. One of those rights is freedom of speech. It's protected by the First Amendment. So what is freedom of speech? Does it just mean that I can say what I want? Well, of course. But speech is a much more broad heading for a lot of subsets. With speech, you can talk, you can write it, you can carve it, you can paint a picture, because a picture says 1,000 words. A picture, when they paint it, he's telling a story. A name is speech. You're not limited to your speech. If I want to speak English, I can do that. If I want to speak French, I can do that too. If I want to speak German, I can do that too. If I want to speak Indian, I can do that too. The Indians are trying to say, I can't use Indian words. I can't use Indian pictures. That is in direct violation of my First Amendment. And what makes me mad is some of you freely wanted to give away these people's First Amendment. You're not even authorized to give them their freedom away or their rights. In the United States, it's made up of the people, by the people, and for the people. What does that mean? That means that the people are the highest authority in this country. They have a higher authority than the United States government. Why? Because the people created the government. They said, we're going to give you limited authority. Government, everyone in government is a public servant. You people here were voted in. You're also public servants. What does that mean? What's a public servant? It means you people are servants. And who are your masters? Them, the public. You don't tell them.
Mr.
Wait.
Richards, your time is up.
Okay, anybody here want to give me their 2 minutes?
No.
No.
No. No.
You got my message.
You did. Is there anybody else that would like to speak tonight?
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. I'm up here speaking for our community. We want to know when the school board is going to put their foot down and stop letting outside community have control over our district. Michelle Lewis. Hi, how are you? Here it is 2019, and we are arguing about what races should and shouldn't be in our schools. There should be no argument because they all should be here in our schools. We should not have something ripped away that we have honored for decades. Any person can analyze something and find it offensive. If someone is offended, that's their issue and their insecurities, and they need to work on it, not us. In 2015, when the issue was brought up from the school board, you met with the Davis, and then again this time you guys met with them again. But when I tried to make a meeting with you to represent the community, District 54, I was ignored. I didn't get anything back. The very people who put you in those chairs have respected and supported all of you, and we were ignored. Why do our votes not matter? And no one even bothered to go around the community and talk to us and talk to the Native Americans who reside here. They don't want this change. They are devastated that their culture is being ripped from these schools. All culture should be recognized in all schools without being seen as racist, especially in towns with such rich Native American history as Skowhegan. A school board is not supposed to let other communities dictate what we do. You're supposed to be making decisions based upon what we want. The ones who put you all in those chairs, you have sponsors pulling out because of the decision that you made, because they do not support what you voted against. We are angry, disappointed, and feel such huge betrayal. If the community is not heard and our vote is not granted, we will put a motion of no confidence vote in. And I keep hearing from the folks that say, I don't feel honored, but we're not honoring them. We are honoring the first people to use these lands peacefully, the people who developed Skowhegan, Maine. We have never disrespected the Indian name, have we? Answer. Have we ever disrespected the Indian name as long as it's been in this district? We have not, have we? We have not. Let us vote. Give us back the confidence we need to feel about our school board. These are our kids, our taxes, our town, our heritage. We deserve to have the final say. Thank
you. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay, just one down.
Come on, Liz. board, and hello to you as well, Skowhegan community. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Liz Turner, and I am a student currently attending Skowhegan Area Middle School. I had moved up from a small town down south about 5 years ago, and in that time I had found out about cheerleading. I am a junior high squad senior by 5 years, and I had always cheered for the Indians. The feeling of wearing a uniform to throwing the girl in the air, it really didn't matter to me because I had what most call Indian pride. The Indian island has brought it up to the state that the Indian photographs or nicknames will become illegal. Now to some it doesn't matter, but to specifically the teams, it stings. To go to competitions or games, to be known as the team with no name. Cheerleaders can't cheer like that without anything to cheer for. The Native Americans send themselves.
Go ahead.
The Native Americans send themselves. It's all about pride, heritage, and fight. Does this mean that we're not having enough pride or showing enough fight, or are we not honoring their heritage by wanting to keep their memories? They are Native American, but I am too. But does that mean I can push people's pride around because I want the name to what I want to? Of course not. At prior meeting, I'm sure that you all remember when they stated, we gave ourselves permission to call ourselves the Indians, but yet they also gave themselves the same right to deem Indians offensive to people who aren't Indian, prejudging them strictly by their looks. There are people that disagree with my statements, but wherever you may be, just remember we are all human and we all have all have our own opinions. I personally and a few friends have created a petition to go around the school because the people who are representing the town and the town's symbol should be the ones voting, not only the school board. The community needs their turn to speak, so please hear them out. And for all you children here, my age, older or younger, hear me out. Don't hide behind your signs or parents. Stand up and speak because these generations are the ones that matter the most. Did your school board not allow the community to vote because they have a different opinion than you, or was it just an act of silence? Either way, you have heard a lot so far. Angry words flying at you from all over. No community can run when some of the superiors are against the community. My group's goal is to try and change the minds of you, board, and you, community, that disagree. Thank you for listening to my talk. Thanks for your time, board, and you, community, as well. I have one more announcement to make. Let's go, Indians.
Okay, is there anybody else?
As a student of Skowhegan Area High School, I'm going to be one to say that we have a chant into our high school, and we ended up singing it before you guys came back in. And I felt very pride in that, and so me and my friends, we went with the principals, and so we ended up with talking to them that we wrote you guys a letter. I don't have the letter today because I haven't gotten the paper from my friend. But we ended up writing a letter, and it's basically saying that we hope you reconsider your decision because we were born an Indian and we will stay an Indian. We have been the Indian for years now, many years. And so I don't think it's right that you should take our pride away and not give us a say, us students, we the people a say. And as you can tell, a lot of us are wearing Indian. And that's literally, they got taken out of the school. Like, it's almost taken out of the school. At the high school, we have a big sign that has an Indian on it, and it says Skowhegan Area High School. And that means a lot to us students and stuff. And so if we have to end up changing it, then that's gonna be like a lot of money for like the sports team to take that thing off the wall, for the gym, for everything. And even for us, that's gonna hurt us, personally, physically, and mentally. So I hope you reconsider this the decision because it means a lot to us for the Indian. And so what will, like she said, what will we be if we have no mascot? We will be nothing. We will just be a Skowhegan school. We will be either, I don't know what we will be. I don't have no words for it. But it's just, the next day that guys ended up making that decision. All of us, basically the whole school, ended up wearing Skowhegan Indian stuff to show the pride. It has literally been taken out of Walmart and other stores and etc. even more. That because we had to ask somebody now to go get Indian stuff because so many people found it offensive that we can't even buy it anymore. And that is not cool. That is our pride, that is our energy. We will always live in Indian even if you take it away from us, and nothing will ever change that.
Do we have anybody else who would like to speak tonight? Okay. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on a different subject?
Hi there. I can totally appreciate where you guys are at right now. Board member in another district, but I'm here for a different reason tonight. My name is Chris Clark, and I represent a local semi-pro football team. Some of you may have received an email from me as of recent, and I would like the opportunity to discuss a few things with you and discuss our proposal for the town.
Can I just ask you, is that the James MacArthur group?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, yes.
It is.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up now so that to see if we could have an opportunity to speak
Okay,
later.
I talked with Junior
Yeah, okay.
and asked him to bring me the proposal, and I think that's something that needs to be turned over to the support service to let you look at it. So you're welcome to speak, but
Sure. So I have our proposal here. I printed off enough copies for everybody. I have made some phone calls and been met with some resistance, and I feel like the board should consider our proposal. It's a great opportunity for the town of Skowhegan. It's a great opportunity for the sports boosters. It's a great opportunity for youth that are graduating high school that aren't sure if they want to accept that scholarship to UMaine or if they want to accept that scholarship somewhere else. But maybe they want to go to a community college for a couple of years and build up their grades and not waste their eligibility, right? So what we do is, I also have some mission statements for you. What we do is, as a group, we've come together and we've all played football. I was a college coach. I played football. I won't say where because you guys don't like us very much, but we'll just say it's in southern, central Maine. But our mission here basically is to work with the community, build up a community, build up the youth program, hold youth clinics, raise money. We're not looking to profit. We don't want to profit anything, as a matter of fact. We want to be a 501c nonprofit organization. What we want to do is we want to give half our ticket sales to the youth boosters. We want the youth boosters or the school boosters to come and run the concession stands. We want to run 50-50 raffles and give that money to the schools. The only thing we want is enough money to cover our operating costs, which is referees and lights if we use them on the field, whatever it might be. Okay? It's expensive to run a football team. So I'm the general manager. We have 3 owners. But basically, what we want to do is work with the community. We want these kids to experience football at a different level before they make the decision to go to college or when they get back from college. We want them to be able to keep playing. Personally, for me, football was a lifesaver. It got me through school, and it's gotten me through adulthood. I played football for 26 years. I just retired from semi-pro football last year after a bad injury because I became old. So I'd like you guys to look over these proposals. I have been met with some resistance at some of the higher levels throughout the system. But I think this would be a good deal for Skowhegan. We have backing from several businesses in town. In order to get that backing, it hinges on whether or not we play in Skowhegan. We have businesses that support us. We've spoken with people from High Chevrolet, we've spoken with Ken's Family Restaurant.
Your time is up, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So if you guys would consider it, talk about it, and, you know, maybe take a vote on it, see if it can be allocated.
Can we just bring that to support services?
This is already going to the athletic director who's not supportive, so we can certainly inform you all with our action.
So the athletic director told me the superintendent wasn't supportive for the record.
Okay, they'll discuss it. How the board works is most of our work is done in committees, and this would fall under the committee of support service.
Okay.
And so they'll discuss it, and if need be, they'll make a recommendation to the board, whatever.
Sure, when, do you know when that would take place?
I do not.
We don't have a scheduled meeting.
They don't have a scheduled meeting yet, but they will certainly take it up.
Okay, so who's the chair, so I can email that?
The chair is Jen Poirier.
Okay, I will send you an email, Jen, so you have my contact information. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else? Seeing none, we'll go on with the meeting. Okay, the next item is number 6, and it's the board discussion on the referendum petition request. It's going to be a discussion between just the board. Just to reiterate, we expect you to be respectful and quiet as we talk. And as a board, we need to be respectful of each other also. So, who would like to begin? Mrs. Quinn, you need a microphone.
I'm going to stand and talk. I think we should go to a referendum, but it would be non-binding, so it would be a futile effort that would cost a lot of money. And due to the fact that there is legislation now that's going to create the law of which we're going to have to live with anyway, it would be like us just spitting in the dark, because it's already come out of committee, it's already gone to the House, and I just fear that the money is spent will be money wasted.
Before we go any further with the discussion, I would like, this is Bruce, one of our attorneys, I would like him to, just so that the public can hear it from him, about it being non-binding, et cetera, just so that you're not hearing it from me or Brent. Absolutely.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Smith. I'm a school attorney. Been doing this for about 35 years and have dealt with many types of issues, including issues like this. And one of the things that I've spent a lot of time with over the years is how schools are governed, because we get a lot of issues about who makes decisions to govern schools. And the state constitution gives the legislature exclusive or complete control over public education in the state of Maine. And the legislature has created, written a bunch of laws. I have a book here, it's about 500 pages, that has all the laws that govern education. That's just the state laws, by the way. It doesn't include all the many federal laws. But one of the key provisions of this law is that the legislature has decided that education shall be governed by school boards. And to the extent where they haven't already told you exactly how to do things, school boards can make decisions and are required to make decisions about all matters relating to running the local public schools. The school board has both the right and the duty to do it. And that gets us to the issue of what is the role of the citizenry more generally. The legislature has decided that the way that the school board members who are going to be making this decision are chosen is by election. And all registered voters in the towns served by the district get to vote on who will sit around this table. And every 3 years they each have another election, and they're staggered, so every year there's some type of school board election. But that's how they're chosen, and they are required to make these decisions. And There is no statutory process for the voters to make decisions that the legislature has decided that the school board should make. The only process for referendum, well, there are a couple of different ones, but basically they deal with big expenditures. One is, as you know, the school budget goes out to referendum each year. That's because the law says it has to go out to referendum. The law says a big building project, borrowing a lot of money for a building project, has to go out to referendum. But things like the day-to-day governance of the schools, ranging from what's going to be taught in the classroom, what teachers are going to be hired, whether an employee is going to be dismissed, student rules of conduct, specifically the name of the district itself is all allocated to the school board to make that decision, and there's no allocation there's no process for voters to decide those questions. And whether we agree with that or not, and I realize that there are probably a lot of people here who disagree with it, that's the way the law is now, and it's very clear. So, what about a referendum? There is, as I say, there's no process for the voters to tell the school board what to do by referendum, but there isn't anything that says they can't put something out to vote if they wish to. And it would be a non-binding, what we call non-binding or advisory vote. And if there is a strong interest from the board in doing that, it's not prevented by law. Having said that, were this to occur, I think everyone should bear in mind that it absolutely is not binding, and that it is a significant departure from all the many other decisions that the board makes that don't go out to referendum. But again, since it has no legal effect, there's no reason why the board can't do it and decide how they want to do it and when they want to do it. But they also have every right to make that decision one way or the other. And that's what the law is.
Okay, so is there any other board member that would like to say anything, Jen?
I just want to say that I think everybody can hear me without a microphone anyway, but I think we've all heard the community, and I do realize that it would be a non-binding vote. I do think as well that a decision like this doesn't just affect our school, it affects the community, and I think that they should have a right to be heard, even in a non-binding vote, to advise us. I understand the concern about setting precedents, but this is an unprecedented issue. This isn't something that comes up frequently. I don't think it would be seen as something that we're going to put referendums out for every other vote we take. I don't see that happening. This issue, I think, means a lot to a lot of people, and we're elected by you. I understand that fully, and I would support their right to be heard.
Anybody else have anything to say?
I would like to say something. So to move on what Linda Quinn said about the costs, if we're going to be putting a referendum vote out for the budget, what could the anticipated cost be for adding a line to that piece of paper? I mean,
there's a paper ballot. The cost is virtually nothing in terms of adding to a question.
Sure. And that's what I thought.
The only cost would be if it takes the clerks longer to count.
Sure.
That
Sure.
would be
the other issue that came up was the state issue, and that could go one way or the other, and most likely will. But in this case, I think it might be more to our benefit to be proactive versus reactive, because if we put the message out, or the option out to the voters to make the decision, and they speak one way or another, and Augusta goes the other way, then we could be right back here again. I mean, that vote may not happen this session. It could go on to next session, and we're still sitting right exactly where we are right now. If we get a vote out, get the answer back from what our constituents want, then we would be a little bit further ahead of the game, not only with the Augusta vote, but where the people that we represent stand.
All right, thank you. Harold?
Yeah, I don't think I need a mic. My name's Harold Bigelow. Anybody? I really feel that this was heavily influenced by other people from other areas, and I'm 100% hearing what you guys feel. Nobody else, just what the town folk, the taxpayers that pay taxes in this town that want to pass this budget. I think we ought to be heard. The town of Skowhegan ought to you ought to have something to say about this, not the outside influences for once. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay. I want to remind the board that it's a discussion between us. So with that said, is there anybody else that would like to speak? Jeannie?
Yeah, you all know me, I'm Jeannie Franklin. I've been on the board 15 years, and I really, in my heart, believe that you guys approve our budgets. You guys should be heard on that. What's the big deal if we just put it to a referendum? Let them tell us. Maybe I voted to keep it. Maybe I made a wrong decision. You know, you guys elected me to be in this spot, and I believe in my heart I made the right decision, but what's the big deal if we do it? Doesn't mean we have to make a vote on it. Let them tell us what they think, and then we can see how the legislature goes. You know, it's not going to hurt us. What's it going to hurt us? To allow them to put it on a referendum. Brent just said it's not going to cost us much. Let's do it. Let's do it. You need a motion? I'll make the motion.
I know. This is a discussion tonight.
Right, but we made motions before that aren't on the agenda.
Right.
We did one at the last meeting that wasn't on the agenda, Dixie.
That's right.
And you have the power to accept the motion. And it's not going to hurt
Has to be a
anybody here if we make it.
Has to be a 2/3 vote, folks.
Yep.
More discussion.
2/3 vote.
Add
Add an agenda item. Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Me. I want the crowd to understand that this is non-binding. The vote. Okay. Okay. It's really important that they know that if they get the numbers, it's still non-binding.
Teresa?
I just want to, remind everybody on the board too that I feel like whichever way we decided, referendum or not referendum, that we said that we all have to embrace that if we say yes, we're going to put it out to the vote. I think we do ourselves a great disservice if we say yes, we put it out, and then don't follow that advice. I think that would undermine the public's confidence in us, in our work. So I think that however you vote, either referendum or no referendum, you need to embrace that we are going to potentially take action based on that result. So I just think that's a key. Knowing that it's not binding, it's still our decision, but if you're going to say, yes, we're going to have a referendum, it's to listen.
Yes.
Going off of what Teresa said, I think it would be more equitable if we were going to have a vote with that kind of implication, that we waited and advertised the vote and made sure that it was public so that all of the board members who are not here today would have the opportunity to have their say in this. We have at least 4 missing.
I just want to say that it has been our practice, even since 2015, to anytime the board was going to make a vote, that we did put it on the agenda ahead of time so that people knew. Look back at the history. That's why I'm saying that tonight is a discussion and not a time for a referendum. If the board disagrees with me, I will back you 100%. I will go to the mat and back this board. But in the history of this, since I've been on this board, we've always advertised before we took a vote for people.
Dixie, I just would like to mention to the board that I have some concerns about this. The potential of this going out to referendum. I believe we received correspondence from the Norwood town manager with some concerns about what would be involved with the town getting that ready. I would be interested in hearing from the other towns that would have to get ready to do this. I'd be interested in...
Just, I can answer the Norwood question. The manager approached me about wanting to put on the electronic ballot system to run it through the machines. There's deadlines on that. When I said it would cost not a lot, I was assuming it would be added to our paper ballot. So the paper ballot is not, it takes time in our office to create, but it doesn't, we add a second question. So in essence, to be on the electronic ballot, you'd have to, the time frame would be a lot shorter. So they have to know that earlier. So I wouldn't, my recommendation would be that if this was going to happen with June referendum, we'd be a paper ballot, so.
Following with that, I'd also be interested in knowing what the actual count was of the petition that was circulated and how many registered voters signed that.
I didn't do that analysis.
We didn't, those votes were not checked.
I understand that, but that's something that I think would be pertinent information for all of us to know before going forward with more discussion about making this an agenda item. I worry that what kind of precedent this could set, and I know it's a it would be a non-binding referendum, which I personally think it's money and effort and energy expended towards something that doesn't amount to anything. If it's non-binding, it doesn't count. And so I think if we're going to go down that road to something that doesn't count, we need to put some more thought into it and get more information about it. And I want to hear more thoughts from people about how this could affect us further down the road with other school board issues, such as expelling a student or a teacher being hired or fired or anything that could become a controversial subject matter. If the board is willing to relinquish our rights here as the sole governing body, I want to have a better idea of how that's going to play out further down the road. From my experience for 9 years, I can tell you that I have never seen, and we've had parents come in, taxpayers come in and are angry about a decision that's been made, but never this. And I think it's just because it's this issue. So once it happens once.
What's that?
If it happens this one time, if we go to referendum this one time, what's the likelihood? I'm concerned that we're going to find ourselves in the same situation again on maybe another issue.
I don't have a crystal ball. I can't answer that. But all I can tell you is that in the history of me being on this board, it's never been an issue. Todd?
I think a firing or expulsion seems to be more of a school issue. This is a district issue. This is a little bit larger, and I think that there's a larger voice that wants to be heard. But I'd also like to get clarification on something you just said about the vote, because when we took the vote on the name, that was not on the budget. All right, on the agenda rather. I'm sorry, that was a workshop, but there was no mention of a vote. So we could actually have a vote right now.
Actually, you folks agreed to that agenda, which was going to be a workshop, and then the second part of that was a possible action. That action could have been anything you chose to do. You chose to vote, but you could have done any number of things. You could have had a different motion.
Well, we had a motion before that.
But my point is, so there was an opportunity that was structured that way. So you were going to have your workshop, and then it was a possible action. It was open-ended to what you wanted to do. So that you could have reintroduced the motion you were talking about, Hal, at that time. You could have.
I mean, we have our attorney here. We can make a motion at any time, correct?
The just basic rules of order. The chair presides over the board and makes procedural rulings. So the initial question about whether a vote should be had is the chair's decision. you have apparently a policy that says that if you want to add something to an agenda, you need a 2/3 vote to do it, as I think as Dixie said. So my opinion would be that the agenda doesn't indicate that there will be action on this item tonight, and the only way to have a vote would be a 2/3 vote to add that to the agenda.
I just want to say again that in the history, we've always posted it so that both sides would have knowledge that we were going to have a vote. But again, if that's what you want to do, I'll support it. I'm against it, but I'll support it. Excuse me, Harold.
What I think this vote would represent, whether it has anything to do with changing anything, it's going to give them a voice in this. We're going to know what the people that pay the taxes, that pass all the everything that comes up. These are the people, not the people that come in from the other areas. And I think they just want to be heard.
Okay, Amy.
Desiree's first.
What's that?
Desiree's first.
So can I just remind you guys, we're on line 6. We have to 12. This issue may be null and void if it goes to the House, it goes to the legislature. We have other items that we need to work on. For the sake of our time, our energy, we should move on. We may not have a say in how this turns out.
Who's flashing that light? It's hitting me right in the face. Sorry.
Sure.
Right
there.
Just hit me right in the face. Sorry.
Your flashlight is flashing.
I'm working on it, thank you. Sorry about that.
So we've said, I've heard multiple times that we haven't listened to our communities. We sat through a 3-hour forum in January. We had a lot of people speak, and I will be the first one to say that the majority of those people were from out of town. They were not in our district. But of the people that spoke from our district, and there were 33 people that spoke from our district, 29 of them requested that we change the name. Brent received 52 letters via email that, bless his heart, he sent all of us. 9 of those came from our school district. The rest were other people from not only out of our town or our district, but out of our state. And of those 52 letters, 12 of them were from our district. 9 of those people requested that we change, that we let the Indian name go. So I'm not quite sure where our audience was on January 8th or 7th or whenever we did that 3-hour forum. But I feel like that I heard not the people from Portland and Fort Fairfield and Brunswick, all those people. I heard the people in our community saying it's time to let this go.
Thank you, Amy. Anybody else? Jen?
Just to hit on a couple things real quick. As far as the time frame with the House of Representatives, I can tell you I've spent 4 days in the past 12 there, and it's looking like it's going to be months. So if we think we're just going to put it off and wait for legislation, that could be a while. And just to hit off of what you said, Amy, one thing as a Skowhegan representative that I've found with the forums is that we see these people out public every day, and the people that I talk to expect me to know what they're thinking and how they're feeling about things without having to come and wait through a 3-hour forum or having to come to a meeting every other week. I'm out there and I'm talking to them, or they're coming to me, whether it's email, phone calls, every day. They expect me to know how they feel about things, and I think that's why the numbers that you're referring to were so different.
stand up and wave both hands.
I'm not
Peggy?
that short. Peggy Lovejoy. This has been a really difficult issue, and I want to say that I have heard from people I went away to Maryland at some point, I think in the beginning of February, and when I got back until the time we voted, I was on the phone all day long, every day, with people that were calling me about this issue. They probably weren't calling some of the other people on this board, but they were certainly calling me, and I know other people have received those calls as well. You know, I heard that we were heavily influenced by outside parties. But I want to also say that I think we've been heavily influenced by our own values and our own conscience, and the people that voted for this have, I think, spent a very long time making decisions. I think that it's been heartfelt, and I too have, I've listened, I've read all the letters, I've listened to people. It was very interesting to me that the letters that we read before we had the vote were very positive on changing the vote. And the letters that there were many more. And then the letters that we have seen, that I have received after the vote, were many more people that did not want the Indian name to change. I think that that we've all had the school board has the right to make this decision. And that is really in the statutes. When I read what was from our lawyers, and we talked about it, it is so clear to me that we are public officers trying to do the best we can in making decisions. And I think we have done that. I think we have listened and listened and listened, and you know, I think at this point we really need to do some healing and healing with the community, and we need to do healing on our board. And I hope we will not do a referendum vote, because I think that it will undermine our authority. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else? Nobody else has anything to say? Oh, Harold, I'm sorry.
I know that this probably won't have any influence on the vote, but I think that the town ought to be heard. Myself, I think the town ought to be heard. We've heard the opinions of us in a vote, and now I think it's time that they were heard.
I think there's 22 people that have heard the public.
Right.
We've heard the taxpayers. I've read the emails. And I don't disagree with you. So, is there anybody else who has anything else to say? We typically, because our next meeting would fall during school, but during April break, we'll have the meeting, so it'll be 3 weeks instead of 2. We can put it on the agenda for a possible vote for referendum. We have to work out the wording of that, is that correct?
The board is responsible for it. If you're going to do that, the board would have to create the question. It would be a legal question. So, but yes, we'd have to work with the attorneys to create the question. Yeah, we would normally meet, we wouldn't meet for 2 weeks. We always meet the week after that. That's the night we present the budget to you guys. So if you were going to consider the question of whether or not to put it out, you could put it, have a question that night to do that.
And what would it take to just do it tonight and not have to wait?
2/3 vote to add to the agenda. And all I ever did, I'm not, I'm trying to say neutral on this. You've got 4 members missing, about 20% of your board, so I mean that's a factor. Every vote you take.
We can have the next meeting have that too.
I could, but you haven't had that. You've had opted to now. You've had everybody present.
Wasn't there a deadline on May 1st?
No, it's right around the 1st of May, so that's what that'll be before that.
If we put it off for 3 weeks, who on the board is not going to be here?
For the 25th.
I know Jeannie won't be here.
25th of April.
25th.
There's a possibility I won't be there either.
And the key point too is notice. I mean, you didn't advertise the fact that you were going to vote tonight. So I'm saying, I think given and I want to differentiate. John asked that. Some people said we added something to the agenda last time. We did it. It was a 21st century grant approval. We have done those kind of things that are not high profile things before. Nothing in my 16 years here, we've never put an item on the agenda with this level of interest without advertising it first. So regardless of what the date is, it doesn't have to be the 25th, it could be some other date. But that would probably be the next regular board meeting.
If the member is gone, is there anything stating that they could write how they felt?
You can't, there's no proxy and there's no, that question came up, that came up for this meeting. People are not here asking the same questions. My able attorneys told me no.
I just wanted to comment that when we voted on especially on the thing that John brought up last time, the 21st century, when we voted, we were 100% in agreement. So we would have had that 2/5 vote. So we just need to make sure that we.
It won't happen again.
Okay, but my point is, we do things come up last minute sometimes of less consequential issues.
You said action was going to be taken.
No, you didn't.
No, she did not.
No, at the last meeting on the vote. I
No, she did
didn't
not.
have any inclination, anything, that there was going to be a vote on such a big issue without the vote will be taken.
Well, the issue, what we said in that agenda was, and I had called all of you individually, or emailed all of you on that question, to find out if you folks thought it was okay before the meeting. That was, you folks the opportunity for the boards to speak. You hadn't done that yourselves. And then the second part of that agenda was very specific, any possible action you wanted to take. So it was open for whatever you wanted to do. Somebody made a motion and it passed. It could have been any other motion as well. So.
Is it legal for me to move that we add this to our agenda next month, of the next meeting?
Sure.
Just make it. You asking me?
Yeah.
I second it.
Well, I think you should follow your normal agenda setting process, and I'm not 100% clear on what that is, but I think that if the board wants to request that the chair and the superintendent put it on a subsequent agenda, I think they can do that.
Yeah.
I think if you want to make a motion.
If we don't need a motion?
We don't need a motion.
We've done that by consensus before this board. We've done it any number of ways.
So is the board okay with doing it at the next meeting, putting it on the agenda?
How would it be worded?
We'd have to craft that.
And you would all see that?
Yeah.
You'll all get to say yay or nay before you see it. I mean, before we vote, before it's put on the agenda.
Try to schedule a meeting that everyone can make. I know that's hard with this big a group, but.
We gotta get it on agenda before.
The latest, really, we have to have it in there by 1st of May.
What meeting is the first?
It's May 2nd.
I'm just gonna.
7th?
I'm gonna.
Second.
Yeah, that's the goal. Since this is entirely a voluntary process, the usual statutory rules don't apply, so there's some flexibility. I mean, if this were an official legal referendum, a whole series of deadlines come into play, but this was not.
Is there a potential for trying to find a special meeting, just so that if the vote says, yes, we're going to have a referendum, we don't cut ourselves short? April 25th is very close to the beginning of May, which, as I understand, would be when our deadline is. And I wouldn't want, if the board feels let's have a vote, to not be able to follow that.
Any day. I just picked that day because we'd be meeting. You can pick any other day you want. I don't think on vacation week is tough because people go away.
I think we'll pick a day that everybody's going to be there.
Okay. How do we do that, Mark?
We'll sit down later and pick a day.
Sarah?
When does Haley return? That's okay.
He's not back till June. So Haley won't be here.
Right, Haley won't be here.
It has to be in April in order to get it to the.
We have a meeting.
Can we do May 2nd?
We could do May 2nd.
But that's beyond the deadline.
That's the.
No.
Do you mean the first, literally, May 1, or like the first?
All I was trying to say is that what we're talking about here is does the statutory requirements for time frame apply to this situation? I'm trying to superimpose it onto the budget process, which we have to have that ready by the first week of May. Whether or not this can be added later.
My sense is, without having been asked to look at this beforehand, is that you have flexibility, because as I said, it's not a statutory process, so you're just sort of making it up as you go along, quite frankly.
So we could add a separate ballot, paper ballot, after the deadline.
Yeah, as long as you have the paper ready to the town polling places.
So we have that meeting, May 1st wouldn't be the day.
So we're meeting on May 25th. I mean, I'm sorry, April 25th, at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
That's about 3 weeks now, the 25th.
Why would we go to the May meeting? I mean, to me, that just makes sense for the next meeting. Stop kicking the can down the road.
Because we have people that won't be here. If we're trying to get as many people here as possible, we had at least 2 people raise their hand and say they would not be here on the 25th.
That's what triggered the conversation.
I mean, you could do that for the next meeting. We could have, I mean, how many meetings do we actually have 100% participate?
Lately, most of them.
So the question becomes.
No, I was just gonna, same thing. I was just gonna say, so do you want to do it on the 21st? I mean, I'm sorry, my head is just spinning. The 25th or May 2nd?
What day of the week is May 2nd?
Thursday.
That would be the first regular meeting of May.
Okay.
I mean, if there is no deadline, you could even push it out a little further if you want to make sure that some people are back.
Second meeting, have a second meeting in May. We have no deadline.
How about the 25th of this month, so we can just be done with it?
We've already got.
Okay.
Just ask a quick question: Is the consultant?
Oh.
This is not irregular for us. The next week, is that better for people to fit that May day?
No, I can't make May 2nd.
Okay, so let me just because they're not going to be weighted, I just want a consensus, because this is getting ridiculous. How many people would want us to vote, have it on the agenda for the 25th? Raise your hand.
Does some of the day that week, is that any some of the day that week better? There's nothing sacred about the 25th.
So this is a special meeting for them.
Oh, that would,
This
that's
is
a
not
regular.
It doesn't be a regular meeting. If you want to do something special, we could do. Oh, what I'm sorry, scripting now.
The dates I've ripped that I have chosen are regular times that we would. Now wait a second. Would we have if we have a meeting on the 25th? Would we turn around the following Thursday? On
During
the
budget
2nd?
season, probably yes.
Okay. Okay. So again, how many people would like to see it on the 25th? And how many people would like to see it on the 2nd? Okay, the 25th it is.
And we'll work on the drafting of some language.
And we'll get the wording out so that we can all see it beforehand. Is that okay with everybody?
And that night would not be just that. That night would be budget stuff too. So the regular meeting.
Okay. Are we all set now to move on to the next item? Okay, so now we're at